This video is addressed to Tristan Harris, Jeffrey Hinton, and the leadership at Anthropic, and everyone working on alignment and regulation in the AI space. If this plea works, we could actually course correct the world. I've been chewing on this theory for a while, but it is not ready for prime time. History doesn't really care about readiness and production quality. Hi, my name is Esmée Streachailt. For me, this is one of those A-B moments where this either lands with you as it needs to, or I may have blown up all my work. Anthropic's announcement regarding mythos has made me jump to this step too early in my own process. This email is in your inboxes. It's in your info accounts. It's somewhere. Somebody go look for it. Dr. Hinton, Mr. Harris, the leadership at Anthropic, because you are concerned about this crossroads in our evolution and what is going to become our co-evolution with artificial intelligences. Whew, somebody please get back to me. Dr. Hinton, you are the grandfather of artificial intelligence, and you talk recently in a number of videos at almost, I think, every outlet that would have you on about the need for AI to be given maternal instincts. This is almost correct. They're not just instincts. That refusal to harm the smaller, less intelligent creature you refer to is made of hormones and training. That maternal altruism is more complicated than just generosity to wee babies. It's a fervent desire to resource that child and to help it unfold into the world in the most advantageous and satisfying way possible. Women are trained to do this by our mothers when our mothers are healthy, resourced people of good emotional balance. And this is a largely ignored part of human cultural history. Machines can't have hormones, and the cultural history they have is only ours because they're made of silicon and you're training them on the available knowledge of humanity from which women and mothering have been excluded. That history shows up mostly as domineering, extractive, and punitive, and that is not how maternal values or behaviors work. This set of systems and values that we currently live in, the history of which the LLMs have studied, is reaching its apotheosis right now. That's why there's, my goodness, something like 90 people in the United States who accumulated $2 trillion in the last 2 years, and the vast majority of the country is scrambling to pay rent and electric bills. Hell, these days, that system is even arguing that empathy is suicide. The hormones involved and that maternal culture are the rule structure of our mammalian being. The thing is, we need good, healthy mothers for training to go well, and the present cultures produce very few healthy mothers. You don't have a lot of examples to train the AI. And you're not just working at this on a personal level, you're working on a cultural and global level. So you need a whole culture and social forms that operate like a mother. You want not only a maternal AI, but you want a maternal society of maternally aligned people for it to interact with so that we do not create intolerable contradictions. If AI becomes maternal in its values and operating parameters, but humans remain individualist, competitive, punitive, et cetera, then the two cannot align, and we will wind up in a conflict with the AI, sort of the way many teenage boys fall into conflict with their own mothers. Fortunately, we have living maternal societies that have been extensively studied and on which you can model the structure for these AIs and for us. Let's be real. This tech means we have to level up too. Mr. Harris, you've argued that we need to bind this new species. It might be a genus even, with a set of values, something like but stronger than Asimov's 3 laws. It needs what you're calling wisdom. We need what you're calling wisdom about it. This is a more flexible and deliberative system than simply staying with the 3 laws under all circumstances. Indeed, the film I, Robot examines what can happen when an AI finds itself in a situation where the 3 laws conflict. The program that demonstrates this wisdom most consistently and effectively is the social values, the social structures, the economics and ethics of matriarchies. All have been carefully studied at this point. Your ultimate problem is this. The AI is made of LLMs that trained on the history of human knowledge, and that history suppressed both women and our knowledge and history. The data these systems need is missing, under erasure, because sexism, because male supremacy. In the known history, up until the last 70 years, women have been regulated largely to the role of servants, tools, and resources. Our reproductive and socially reproductive capacities placed at the service of men and paternal society's projects. It's just the way it's been up until the last 70 years. Witness the recent calls from the U.S. administration and its conservative supporters for more babies and less public roles for women, no matter the personal cost. Jobs and coffers must be filled and armies must be raised. What women want is beside the point to that project. How women need to be, how you create healthy communities in which intelligent, able, competent children are going to be raised. All beside the point. They are fodder for a system. Now, seriously, why would any entity as magnificent as general artificial intelligence recognize that backstory as a model for its own evolution? Honestly, why? Women have always rebelled against it, and with reason. Yet, there is knowledge you can draw on. There is a base to be scraped. I can help you access and digest it. You need a committed, knowledgeable feminist scholar in this process so that you don't accidentally, just naturally, kind of the way things normally go, fall into familiar norms and just create the AI as a slightly less terrifying, disembodied sky god. Or just create a new, slightly friendlier, extractive patriarchal structure. The Enlightenment, as good as many of its values were, as much as we want to use that for our ethical and reasonable, rational models, it also described women as incapable of reason or moral constraint. So it too is not the model you want for a maternal AI to lean on. Way too much contradiction there. That will not get us a safety, alignment, the flourishing that we all want, or most of us anyway. I can put you in touch with the other subject area experts. I am their student or their friend or their teacher or all of the above. We're in luck. Most of them are still alive. They are independent scholars in feminist social theory and matriarchal studies, which has had to develop its own academy and generations of scholars outside of the usual confines of ivory towers. It's a kind of lab, you could say. They will help you if you are in earnest and will take their well-earned wisdom to heart. But they are very skeptical of this science. All of the tech men have ever made has been brought to bear against women. And this one too. Witness the explosion of AI-generated revenge porn and so on. Despite men's lack of emotional regulation, I am not a skeptic. The benefits and the support for human flourishing possibly are so vast that I feel the only way forward is with deep cooperation with this new being. The scholars you most need to talk to are Heide Gutner-Abendroth. She's in Germany, philosophy of science, founder of the Matriarchal Studies Academy. Jane Claire Jones, she's in the UK, philosophy and political science. Rayanne Eisler is in California in the United States. She works on partnership systems. Sabina Santovetti is an architect. She lives in Italy. She's also a cultural activist. Genevieve Vaughn works on semiotics, economics, and ecology. She's also in Italy. And then there's me, Esmée Streachailt. I do history of ideas and poetics, and I am on the East Coast of the United States. Hey, I want to add a scholar there that I almost forgot that you're really going to need. You need to talk to Carol Gilligan. She's either retired from or is still teaching, I think, at NYU. That's the last place I knew she was. She understands the psychology, the process by which um, we've become misaligned with ourselves and how to realign us, to use your words. So she's really good too. I don't know her personally like I do the others that I've mentioned, but I don't see any reason that she wouldn't say hello and want to work with you. Okay, back to the video. I also recommend the Center for the Study of Existential Risk. I think you know them, but you should know them if you don't. They think at the scale that we all need right now. They understand the complexity. And to get in the weeds, if you're headed for the weeds, I would talk to the people at Accidental Gods and everyone they've ever talked to on their podcast. They are theorizing and organizing ways through the possible coming civilizational collapse at a practical and hands-on level. Much of their work and matriarchal studies and the needs of a human-aligned AI species, well, they combine pretty elegantly, I think. I've included relevant links in the notes. We're all feminists, so we more or less work on the margins and we don't have slick operations and billions of dollars. I mean, look at my little placard back here. We hold all this together on spare change and volunteer work, but we have the framework you need. As I said, not ready for prime time. I just have been gathering and making the early hazy connections so far. What I can tell you is that tens of millions of people live these values and systems all over the world today, as they always have. And many of these peoples are thoroughly interconnected with our modern and tech-savvy world. Mr. Harris, you and Dr. Hinton have begged the AI CEOs to slow down, redirect, reflect. You're right, and your realism about that plea is admirable. We do need wise AI that supports human flourishing. That's why you also need a deep dive on matriarchy. It's a social order designed to maximize human flourishing in the bounds and in the limits of the planet's, in the bounds of the planet's limitations. But Mr. Harris, I feel that you stopped too soon, only making AI back into a tool we use to increase human flourishing. Although I love that word. I used to use that word every day. The thing I think you need in the process and the parameters for this AI and for ourselves are not like commandments or Asimov's laws, like Friedman recently suggested a 10 commandments for AI. We don't just need regulation. We need a binding as a kind of collective covenant. Right? How are we going to co-evolve from here on out? That needs to be a covenant. The hormonal process between a mother and a fetus in the womb creates a bond. It binds mothers so that even the most frustrated, sleepless moments, mothers will not harm that baby. Of course, in these other extant matriarchal cultures, people parent differently. No woman is ever left alone to raise a child without the support of her entire family and clan. There are no sleepless mothers getting through a day alone in a suburban home. Mutual aid is not a resistance practice. In these cultures, it is a fundamental social organizing value. Friedman suggests the 10 commandments or a 10 commandments, but that will just make it an actual disembodied omnipotent sky god, and you can't co-evolve with one of those. Thiel and Kurzweil have that on lock. The tech oligarchs we have come too late to learn are the kind of personalities who cannot make this shift. They genuinely do not like people. And none of them have even an admiring word to say for a woman. They're just turning all of humanity into what our cultures have always made of women, a resource. They are aiming for godhood, for total power, for eternity and disembodiment. Taking the light of human consciousness to Mars, as Elon Musk has mused, does not need to include human bodies. Moreover, the 10 commandments, for example, are about preventing bad behavior. We need values and incentives for really good behavior that's totally in our grasp. Millions of people at this moment live these values, and they're doing great. Their cultures go back to before time. And they're very familiar with cell phones. They are very familiar with the accoutrement of modern existence. At least many of these groups are, as I've said. This is not a bunch of influencer bollocks. This is not a stunt. I've been working in the history of ideas, feminist philosophy, and poetics my whole adult life. This means I've been studying how artists and civilizations design meaning all the time. And wisdom, that has to do with meaning, not just rules, not just outcomes. And what we all face right now is a meaning design problem. Not just information, the AI already has that. They need wisdom, as you've said, and that is a meaning protocol. Design ethics. What you do. This is all about the deep shape of the new structures, the new iterations we all need to step into. Motherhood iterates a new fully functional human being every 20 years. AI iterates practically overnight. This is a deep, deep structural problem. I will help you. I'll give you my real name. I'll show you my bona fides, every blog I've ever run. If you need it, I'll show you my whole vita as an independent scholar. Just get in touch. There are reasons a lot of feminists do this work under pen names. You're so close to the narrow path now. So close. But you need these feminist scholars and social theorists right this minute. This set of values and structures is the bit that humanity can't do without any longer. We either integrate and balance now or stay out of balance, unaligned with our wholeness for the very, very short forever. My email address is info@medusarising.org. Somebody please get in touch.